Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on-demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
I always do that. Good morning. I'm Mark Hamilton. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Community and Economic Development Authority Committee for June 26th. And the first item we will do is to do a roll call. Joyce.
Mario is absent. Mark Hamilton.
Here.
Dan Hardy.
Joyce, I don't think you're
Here.
Joe Maldonado.
Here.
Andy Potts. Here. And Jenny Sanders.
Here.
And Nicole Bafadari. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes from May 22nd. You all received a copy of those about a week, 10 days ago from Joyce. Is there any discussion of these minutes before we move approval? Okay, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I can't. I have to print them. Somebody. Yeah. Andy.
And I will second. Andy made it, and I seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, the minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is, are there any public appearances for non-agenda items? There is nobody in the room. Has anybody signed up online?
Nope.
Okay. Hearing none, we will go to the next item on the agenda. Mike and Joyce, we have a resolution to consider. Would you take it over, please?
Sure. This resolution is for the Efficiency Navigator. If you recall, we split the second program into, or phase 2 into 2 projects. And this is for phase 2, project 2. These are the remaining updates that need to be done. Most of these are in, well, it looks like we have some in Smithfield, Arrowhead, or Red Arrow, Williamsburg Way, and Deer Valley. These are the ones with a little bit more work than the last projects. Claire or Leslie, would you like to add anything?
Joyce, good morning, everyone. I think you did a great summary there. This is the second phase of the implementation project. We and we wouldn't move forward with the first phase because all of the quotes had not come in, as well as we need to do some additional information gathering for some of the insulation projects that we'd identified. So this one has insulation, attic and air sealing. This one has dual fuel air source heat pumps in it. It also has refrigerators replacement, and is just moving forward overall with the initial plan that we had presented to you several months ago, and is here for your review and approval.
Further discussion on the matter, Joyce?
Does anybody have any questions? Dan, any contract, and I see the contract wasn't attached to this, but we did make the modifications for the items that you had asked for, some clarification on the lien waiver. Mike and I did review the financials of Sustained Dane, and I can't think what the third one was. But we did address your concerns in the contract. And it's the exact same contract, other than we added in the language for some of the updates that were not in the first project.
That's fine with me, Joyce. Thank you.
Further discussion from the council? Hearing none, we will entertain a motion. You need a motion, don't you?
Yep.
We need a motion to approve the resolution.
I will make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Second. Motion
I will second.
Okay. We have motion made by Jenny Sanders with 2 seconds. We're flexible this morning. From Andy Potts and Dan Hardy. Is there any further discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, we will move to taking a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I just want to give a quick update too. As you recall, we had a bid for windows as well. We pulled that out of this project, and we're going to be bringing that back as a separate proposal. It's pretty lengthy in the scope of work that we're going to do. But as I mentioned at our last meeting, we had identified some projects that needed windows, and they needed them badly. So we had 3 options of, one would be just replacing the front windows, one would be just doing a certain building, or the third would be to do all of the windows. And based on our discussions with CETA and the Housing Advisory Committee, getting these older multifamily units updated was one of the #1 priorities. So Mike and I, Lorene, spoke with Misty, and we decided that we're going to bring forth a proposal to replace all the windows. I mean, we felt that if we're really looking to do energy efficiency and life safety and quality of living, it was best to do all the windows. So that'll probably be coming back to you in July.
Okay, thank you for that heads up.
So I think we're good, Leslie and Claire. So thanks for getting up with us this morning.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for moving this forward with our city leaders. So we'll move on to item number 6 on the agenda, the affordable housing discussion. Excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've been in conversations with the mayor about the Affordable Housing and Housing Fund. We've got $10 million in the bank from multiple successful TID districts that by state statute, we got authorization from the council to keep open an extra year to capitalize that housing and affordable housing fund. So we've got $10 million in the bank now with some of the interest that we've earned on those dollars. And just a reminder that by virtue of keeping the TID open one more year, it's not just the Fitchburg portion of the mill rate, it's all of our taxing entities to help us to create this this housing fund. So the mayor had requested that based on not only the 2019 housing plan, but our discussions with housing developers, that we identify kind of program categories and then assign some dollar amount buckets to those program categories. So in discussions with Lorene, Joyce, and I, along with the mayor and city administration, as well as some of the things that we're already working on with CETA, Housing Advisory Committee, and then looking at the priorities in the 2019 plan, these are the proposed kind of program categories and the funding buckets that we have in the memo. So the first one, we just, again, had another agenda item on. That's off to a great start. That's the rental rehabilitation efficiency navigator. And based on not only the interest in the program, but also some of the expenses that we're seeing, like with the windows that we'll be bringing forward with replacement of insulation in some of the buildings that is adding additional expense. We are proposing that we designate $1 million for that program. Again, that was a priority that was identified in the 2019 plan as far as upgrading that older multifamily housing stock. Rental rehabilitation with the Efficiency Navigator is geared towards our smaller, less than 20 units or less than 16 units kind of program. So that's one bucket and category. The second one is our workforce housing initiatives and working with the WIDA program, the LIHTC tax credit program. And we're designating or proposing $1.5 million for that bucket. So that would be for developers that are coming forward utilizing the WIDA tax credit program. And on Tuesday night, the council approved the Uptown Hills deferred loan. That's a 24-unit, 3-bedroom townhome project that is on the east side of Fitchburg, just north of Haight Farm Road. And that was for $330,000. We're filling in the gap for that one. The financing and capital stack includes the WIDA tax credits, dollars from the Federal Home Loan Bank, money from the Dane County Affordable Housing Fund, and then Fitchburg is layering in the remaining $330,000. That's a deferred loan, so that will get repaid back to us in 17 years. So then we can use that money again for additional affordable housing programs. So 1.5 is what we're proposing, and that includes that $330,000 that the council approved on Tuesday night. The third category and bucket would be resources for land banking and acquisition. And this would be both infill and redevelopment sites for ownership product. And we're proposing and designating $2 million for that. So this would be examples where partners like Habitat for Humanity, Community Area Land Trust, and others would come forward, and we would maybe have a kind of a matching program. And Lorene has been researching other land banking and acquisition programs that are out there, so we don't have the program parameters defined yet. We'll be bringing those forward to you. So it's a question of, would we do like a dollar for dollar match, or would, for every dollar we put in, would it be a 2-for-1? And then what's kind of the segment of the ownership market that we would be looking at? Is it kind of 60 to 80%, 60 to 100%, as we're working with partners that would bring us kind of home ownership product with that. And then the other thing that Lorene and Joyce worked on is, you can see there's another $600,000 identified through a CDBG application that they collaborated with on Dane County. So if we work with one of those partners and they acquire some land, there is $600,000 available that then could be used to help cover some of the infrastructure costs to create the place for then a housing proposal and product there. So we're really excited about that. I think this reflects, again, staff's strategic goals to leverage our dollars to partner with other entities and organizations to extend and expand the reach of our $10 million affordable and housing fund, because we will not have another large TIF district closing for probably 10 plus years. So we're trying to really leverage those dollars, be efficient with them, and really be strategic and be impactful where we can. That aligns with our current housing plan, and then hopefully we get an updated one by the end of the year here with the 2025 housing plan update. The next one, the fourth one, is a down payment assistance program with parameters to be determined yet, but we're allocating $2.5 million for that. And if you watch the council meeting on Tuesday night, we've been approached by a local developer here, Gorman and Company, Gary Gorman, on a home ownership proposal. So part of the reason for this dollar amount is potentially with the project in mind. The council did approve the Gorman proposal to authorize staff to continue to work with him to identify a site and a project that then would come back for consideration through housing, through CETA, and also through finance and council at that time. The down payment assistance couldn't be just limited to one particular project or developer. It would have to be a citywide program that would be available. And then if there's a project that comes forward with the Gorman proposal, those homes would be eligible, or homeowner prospects would be eligible for that. The 2.5 is based on 25,000, and it would be a again deferred loan that would be repaid upon sale or refinance for it. So 25,000 down payment assistance that we would have a bucket for. Then the next category is an emergency housing fund for senior homeowners. Right now we've got 500,000 that we put in there. I know the mayor and alders, and then Lorene has had discussions with the kind of a lunch and learn at the senior center to hear from them as far as some needs in our community. And Joyce has also mentioned this through the years, having some kind of fund if somebody's furnace goes out, if the roof needs to be replaced, one of those major expenses that could put the senior at risk of maybe losing their home or not being able to cover that expense. So that's, again, another program category that we're looking at. And then another bucket that we would utilize, not the housing fund and the affordable housing fund, but we would look to use existing TID districts that we have, is a concept for workforce housing units within market rate buildings. And we're having discussions with one developer in particular to hopefully come up with a pilot program for this. But the premise of this would be looking at having 10% of the units within a market rate building designated for individuals and families that are at 60% of median income. We're finding from our market rate developers that they're reaching that threshold of people that are at 80% just by virtue of the private marketplace, anywhere from 80 to 120%. But where we have a gap is their rents are not getting down to that 60% threshold. So we're trying to layer in some additional workforce housing units. I think the other positive thing with this potential program would be that it extends the reach of it geographically. That where we have TID districts and there's maybe projects that come forward, we can kind of expand our reach of where we incorporate some workforce housing units there. And then the last one that we've just said is we're very open to exploring additional program ideas and public-private partnerships. So we just left that as an all other category. We've been approached like the tiny homes folks about, could there be a potential partnership and public-private partnership? There's the woman that has the green pastures concept for senior living and everything. So we're just kind of leaving that open, that we're willing to have conversations, explore ideas, creative ideas that other entities and developers might have in mind. So that adds up to $7.5 million, those categories and suggested line items there. The remaining 2.5 in discussions with the mayor and administration, we felt since we're updating the 2019 housing plan, maybe there's some new program ideas or recommendations, or maybe through that we bump up some of these buckets and categories based on the data, research, and statistics and needs in our communities and what we learn through that process. So we're looking to leave 2.5 million kind of undesignated until we get through that process and everything. But hopefully by doing these program categories, funding buckets and everything, as we're already starting to work on our 2026 budget, we wanted to have the conversation with Council, CETA, Housing Advisory, and just kind of see if there's a collective nodding of the heads of these program categories and kind of our approximate dollar amounts, and see where we go forward with that in 2026. And with that, I'll let both Lorene and Joyce chime in as far as what we've heard so far. We've had the conversation with Housing Advisory, and we had the conversation with Council on Tuesday night. So I'll let you two kind of add in on what we heard from both of those conversations.
I can speak to Housing Advisory Committee. So overall, I think it was really great feedback. I think it was well received to see those different buckets. One of the biggest thing I heard was flexibility. So if needed, could we change those buckets? And especially if redevelopment resources kind of note that we need to add additional funds in a different bucket if we had that flexibility. And then other areas was just focusing on our seniors that Mike kind of talked about, ensuring that our seniors are able to stay in place, and then having that accessibility. So, for instance, if a seniors needed cabinets to kind of be raised or lowered, or any kind of accessibility in their home, having some funds to assist seniors, and then also a focus on workforce housing and single-family housing.
Joyce, thank you, Lorene. Joyce?
And at the council meeting, excuse me, we heard that focus should be on apartments again, getting them upgraded. So they were pleased with the Efficiency Navigator program. And there was a comment they would like to have a fund similar to what's set aside for the seniors for all property owners in the event that their furnace goes out or something like that. So those are kind of the two things that we heard at the council. So I think we're headed in the right direction based on, what we've come up with so far.
Well, one of the challenges that we have in the multifamily, we've got the Efficiency Navigator for the smaller buildings, 20 units or less. But as you know from our township days, we've got some larger apartment complexes kind of in our northern third, along our north-south corridors and everything. And that's one where I don't think we've determined yet, what our strategy is going to be there. Because most of them are located in existing tax increment districts now. But in order to utilize TIF for something, we're going to need new valuation and increment, to drive some kind of funding, for those units. And our $10 million isn't big enough to, underwrite when you're talking a 200 or 300 unit apartment complex and everything there. So that's one that I think hopefully through the work with redevelopment resources, maybe we come up with some kind of strategies and recommendations of, how do we continue to work on that product and everything. On a good note, like on Fish Hatchery Road, what used to be branded as the Fairways and the Pines, was previously owned by E.J. Plesko, has recently been acquired by Trinity Development, and that's why you see the rebranding to the Renew at the Greens on the north side of the golf course, and then Renew High Ridge on the south side of the golf course. And good situation there that this group acquired it. It's the naturally occurring affordable housing, and they are actually sticking $20 million into those units and everything. So at least we're seeing some reinvestment from some new private sector partners and everything there. So anything we can do to kind of encourage and cultivate that, I think in an ideal world in some of those larger complexes, we also maybe would see kind of redevelopment. They're more suburban style of development where they've got some acreage, around the units. And is there a way to, if we had a private sector partner that through the TID district would be willing to work with us to kind of urbanize and densify those areas? So, a situation where maybe they've got some land where they could construct a new 4-story building, with underground parking, and then we knock down 2 of the 2-story buildings and those residents move into the new building, and then we kind of, have kind of a phased redevelopment. I think in an ideal world, we also would look to kind of integrate a more diverse mix of housing. So it wasn't just this monolith of just all rental housing units there. Could we incorporate some township or townhome ownership, units to kind of diversify the housing stock and also the economic mix within the neighborhoods and everything. From a healthy neighborhood standpoint, that would be a real positive, for us. Not wanting to displace existing residents, we would want to phase and transition them to the new units and utilize any tools that we can. But that's something we should probably continue to look at, strategize about, and aspire to for the long-term health of our neighborhoods and the community.
So, Mike, just a question. A very good overview. Thank you very much from all of you with your comments. This is all going to be managed by your staff, you folks, correct?
You got it.
Okay. I just wanted to
yeah.
So in other words, we've got a hierarchy of how it's going to be managed and accounted for and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's a good question, Mark, because as you know, we're a very lean staff, here, and we're doing a lot. Each of these programs takes a significant amount of time and effort as we're launching new programs and everything. So one thing we're working on with city administration, the city attorney, and the finance director is how do we be efficient from a program operations standpoint. So even with the launch of these new programs, our city attorney's at full capacity well and beyond. So administration and council authorized us to go and get additional legal assistance as we're working on these programs. So we've contracted with Axley to provide us with additional legal resources to keep things moving forward in a timely manner and bring us some of that additional expertise. So on the Uptown Hills deferred loan, Axley put all of those loan documents together for us and everything. So that's going to be helpful for us as we continue to vet like the land banking program and the down payment assistance and everything. And then when we look at the operational kind of through the years, we're trying to structure the agreements so that way the onus of kind of reporting is not on our finance department to go and track down and chase down information that we need, financial information. It's on the development entity there. And then there's kind of requirements that if they don't fulfill that, maybe there's a clawback or or a look back on something. So we're trying to look at it through that operational efficiency because we're not going to be getting any more staff here in the near future. So we just have to be mindful of that.
Again, that's why I raised the point. There's a lot there, and it's great, but we got to be able to manage it and get it done. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah. So any feedback, input on these? Does it seem like we're headed in a good direction, or any questions?
I mean, your housing committee supported it, correct? Jenny, you guys were?
100%.
Okay, so I mean, as I look at this, it seems to be the right things we're hearing. So a lot of what we heard, Joyce, when we were out in Sun Prairie a couple weeks ago. Well, you were there too. So.
Yeah.
And all of these things align with our current 2019 plan. Okay. So we're in sync with that. It's in sync with conversations we're all having daily, weekly, here with all kinds of different housing developers. So I think we're all in sync.
Well, I like the flexibility of how we're approaching this.
Yeah.
Especially with the kind of that 2.5 left over, that we're going to learn a lot.
Yeah.
By the end of this year about what we need to do. So having that extra money in there is going to be, I think, crucial to solving the problems. So yeah, no, we 100% support this. So
I don't think we're going to solve the problem.
well, true.
We need a lot more than
we will make a dent.
Try to be positive.
Yeah, yes.
Well, and I made a comment at the council meeting on Tuesday night that, again, we're trying to be strategic and where's our lane that we fit in where we can be impactful, knowing that we don't control land prices, we don't control construction costs and labor costs prices, we don't control interest rates and things like that. So where can we leverage our dollars and be strategic and be impactful? Yeah, knowing that there's a lot of things outside of our control in the housing market, but I can't say it enough, the best thing we can all do, not only in Fitchburg, but Greater Madison and Dane County, is housing inventory and units across all types. Single family ownership, multifamily ownership, multifamily rental at market rate, as well as affordable and workforce, because until we get the market back into some level of equilibrium here, none of us have a checkbook big enough to really address the affordable housing challenges and needs out there. So that's another focus, hopefully, through the city, and that's why we've got the 2 neighborhood plans coming forward, and then after they are approved, hopefully in September, our planning colleagues will be starting on the comp plan, and then also a zoning code rewrite, because maybe there's some things with our zoning code that would also help us with things like accessory dwelling units and other things that could bring us additional creative things in our toolkit to bring other housing units, forward.
Has there been any discussion of the assessment process and how could there be maybe a peek at that? And
you're talking through the assessing department?
Mm-hmm.
We have to stay arm's length, to that.
Yeah.
But, if you ever wanted our city assessor to come and, kind of give an overview and an update, I'm sure we could chat with him. Joyce comes from that world, so she may have what are your questions specifically?
I just didn't know if, kind of on the radar of how do we solve the affordable, issue with housing, that as assessments rise, people's homes are going up in value according to their assessment. And of course, my sellers come to me and go, whoa, look at this. And then they want more and more and more for their house. So not to, open a can of worms, but I'm just wondering about, whether assessment can be a part of the conversation about, how are we doing it, the impact it has on homeowners and on the city and all that. It's just a very broad question.
I guess assessments are mandated and oversaw by state statute.
Oh, okay.
So it has to be done in a certain process, and it's supposed to be within 10% of full market value. So the problem with what you just exactly explained is people want low assessments when they're paying taxes, but they want a high value when they're selling. So valuations are based on sales. And actually, the assessor's office is like 18 months behind the actual market because they put a value based on January 1st, but they're using 2024 sales to set the values for 2025. So they are just doing what is set out in the state statutes. And there's nothing, when the valuation, so mill rates are figured on the total value of a community. So when the assessments go up, the value comes up, and you should see an adjustment in the mill rate. And we pretty much do because we have levy limits. Correct, Andy? Am I doing okay, Andy? So that's the challenge. I think part of it is really educating the buyer and seller as to what housing prices are. Everybody who sells their property is setting value for everybody else. So
it's a chicken and the egg. It's a vicious cycle.
And our average value, I think I just heard, is we're over $500,000 now. I think 500,000, for it. So it's a challenge.
I think it'd be great to have him come and speak to kind of the process, because what I see, as a realtor, the market fluctuates. And so we may have an assessment one year that reflected a really amazing real estate year, and then the market drops, but the values still stay high. So there's sort of this disconnect between how market fluctuations can be huge. From every 6 months, the market changes, one way or another. It either goes up or it goes down. But assessments end up static.
You have to keep in mind, they have a statutory date. And that's the date they look at, January 1st.
And that's a state mandate.
That is state law.
Okay.
They just finished up the open book process where people can come in, and then that'll be leading to board of review. Yeah. But maybe after that season is over for them, and he can kind of catch his breath, maybe we can get him on a CETA agenda, just to talk more about kind of the process.
Yeah, because
and-
I think education is really
Yeah.
important. I mean, I have friends and clients this time of year when the assessments are all refreshed.
Yeah.
I get a bazillion phone calls saying, Jenny, can you help me fight this? It's like,
So if you were to challenge your assessment, you would have to come in with sales, just
Right,
like an appraisal,
right, yep.
to show that your valuation is not in line with market. So, and that's part of the problem. Everybody wants that,
right?
that adjustment, but
You can't have it both ways.
right, right. And then again, if we did lower all the values, what services do we want to?
Exactly.
Do we want to cut? Because that's what, and if you, and I'm going to, this is probably a plug more for our listening audience, is when you look at the mill rate, you need to look at each individual, there's 5 taxing jurisdictions that have a say in what happens to the assessment, or to your taxes, not assessment.
Well, Joyce, that's to tie all this together, is this suspicion, if it goes up, our taxes are going to go up.
Right.
And
Which
there's
is
where
not-
the education piece needs to happen.
not always
That
the
isn't
case.
always the case.
Correct.
But the second point, I know there's listening sessions going on, and my sense is you're going to hear about the values that went out and the wheel tax. I think that's what I'm hearing in my neighborhood. Is there's a lot of unrest over both of those as they've come out. So education would be a good thing about the.
Yeah.
Well, there's a great.
But we're getting away from our seat of
Yeah,
stuff.
sorry.
It's a great thing to
Yeah.
read. It's
Yeah.
called The Guide for Property Owners. You can get it online. It's put out by the Department of Revenue, and it goes through all of the things we just talked about.
Including if I'm over.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Sorry, I didn't mean to open a can of worms.
Thank you,
but
Joyce.
that,
No,
I
good
think it'd be
questions.
great to have that visitor come and.
I'm going to pull this back to the meeting here, so thank you for that information. Mike, we don't need to take any action on your report this morning, correct?
No, I just would mention one other thing, though, when we talk about kind of housing challenges, just like we've got a healthy real estate market here, with the values and the assessments, we also have a healthy economy, with science, technology, attracting the younger workforce and generations. So our median income keeps going up, too. And one of the things that we've been hearing as staff is that creates challenges even for people living in the WIDA LIHTC affordable units, whether they're family or whether they're seniors, because the rents there are on a sliding scale based on median income. So because we've had healthy increases in the median income here, the rents have gone up. So we've each heard from individuals that live in some of the rental properties, and all of a sudden they're getting, even though it's an affordable building, they're getting a rent increase that they're having challenges trying to be able to come up with the income for that. So that's another one that is out there for us that we've been hearing from some of our residents that are struggling with. So just something for us all to be aware of. There's a lot of economic stressors out there for various citizens and residents in our community. So yeah, Mark, we were just looking for kind of that. We're headed in the right direction.
And my sense is what the community said to you is you are moving in the right direction. So keep going.
Thank you.
Good work, folks. It is putting a dent in it. It's not going to solve it, like Joyce said, but we're putting a dent in what's going on out there and trying to be proactive. Item number 7 on the agenda, the hotel room tax. Mike and Joyce, considerations. So I assume you want some action here.
Yep. So could we get a motion on approval for these 2 items?
Do you want to just explain a little?
Yeah, explain what they are.
What you're looking
I need money. So we were approached by Sergeant Logan Brown to participate in the community night out. So we were kind of brainstorming and trying to figure out what would be something fun that CETA could do at the event. So we discussed having a photo booth and having it branded with City of Fitchburg and the police, the strips that kids could take home or whatnot. So that's one of my requests is for $1,500 for that. And then I'm
Joyce,
also...
on that one, do you want to just describe how many people usually attend that kind of the audience?
You can pipe in too, you know. So they figure that they have probably over 3,000 people there. And it's on August 13th from 5 to 8. I think I sent you guys an appointment. And if I didn't, you're welcome to come and volunteer if you'd like. So that's my first request. And then I am low on all of my marketing items. So I would like to replenish my stock. We have an event in November that we're going to need some things for. So that's my request.
Discussion.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on this? I think we all support it. Yes, Andy?
I think I'm going to get, I think I'm going to go with the one where they have an attendant there. So I did ask for the full amount because we're not going to have time to be getting people and doing their photos and.
Could one of us volunteer to do that? To
Well-
save some money? Or
Well,
does it have to be a?
I think it needs to be them because they're going to have to put film in the camera. And
right.
the other ones are just like you get a QR code and then you can download it to your phone. But I would rather have somebody have a takeaway.
Yeah.
Especially something branded that shows. So.
I'd also suggest them, having seen these kind of things before, make sure people know about it ahead of time as they put the publicity out for the community night out. Say we're going to have that there. And
Yep, it's actually already out there.
oh, okay.
The community night.
Well, that's out there, but I mean, this event, this thing being there is part of that.
Excuse me. Yeah, we'll see what we can do. We're trying to get kids from our healthy neighborhoods there. We do have Boys and Girls Club bringing over there some of their kids on buses. So.
This is always a great event. So okay. And if you need volunteer help, send us a note, please.
Okay.
You said it's the 13th, right? 5 to 8. Yeah. If folks are around and can help Joyce out, just let us know what you need.
And Joyce, is Logan the one who's coordinating the whole thing? Okay, because I have someone who's interested in helping with that, so I'll direct them his way.
I just want to add to that. Joyce has done some really good work working with Logan on identifying some Fitchburg businesses that are going to participate and bring some unique activities as well. So that's kind of cool to see.
Do you need a motion for these expenditures, or just an FYI for us?
We got a motion and a second.
Okay. We have a second.
I seconded.
Oh, sorry. Jenny seconded. My fault. There was so much going back and forth. No worries. All right. Any further discussion on the request? Motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, you have approval to move forward with your photo booth. Next are the Greenfield and Stoner Prairie neighborhood plans. Mike and Joyce.
I'm going to let Joyce cover these because she checked in with our city planner, Deanna Schmidt, on kind of the process and how we're looking to get comments and input.
So as I put in your note when I sent out the packet, I put the links to both of these neighborhood plans in the memo part. You're welcome to take a look at the plans and provide me by July 9th, any comments, questions, or edits that you may have for either one of the plans. I have to turn them in by July 10th. So if you see anything in the plans, I've already sent off a lot of edits and questions from our department, but we're looking for feedback, and we didn't really want to take the time to go through this plan. We've all seen it, and so July 9th, if you have anything, send it back to me, and I'll put all the comments together and send them to Brad. There was a presentation at the Plan Commission.
Public hearing, too.
Yep. And then September 16th is the public hearing at the council, and they're voting on September 23rd, I believe.
So
Okay.
definitely review the plans, and if you've got feedback, comments, and input, pass those along to Joyce by July 9th. We thought that would be more efficient rather than Deanna and Brad getting kind of individual emails from folks to help coordinate that process and getting good feedback and input.
Okay. Thank you for that information. So you folks all have an assignment before our next meeting. So get out and take a look at them for Joyce and the city staff. Next, Economic Development Director and Committee reports. Item number 9.
And Lorene, you want to kick us off? She was at the Dane County Regional Housing Strategies meeting last night, so there might be a good update she can share just from that kind of annual meeting and a gathering last evening.
Sure. So the meeting was yesterday. Well attended. I guess this is an annual event, and it's very well attended in the past. So well attended that they had to open another flow room for it. So we had a lot of representation from Fitchburg. So myself, the mayor, and 3 council members were there. So they had presentations from Kurt Paulson, and he kind of talked about some of the housing programs that may be cut in the upcoming year. One particular permanent supportive housing that impacts homelessness may be cut. So really advocating to our legislators about the need for keeping some of these programs, and CDBG is also something that may be impacted. So really, advocate and share stories that, demonstrate why we need this funding. Chad Lawler was there from Madison Area Building Association and talked about, from a housing standpoint, he used Lennar as an example of how housing has changed over the years. So he used the example of 2004 to now, how housing, there's less houses being built. And just the price of houses is going up. So from 2004, the average house was $225,000. Now it's in the high 500s. So, and he kind of talked about that if we continue in this direction, we'll be 41 years behind. So we really have to make some changes in our housing market. Robert Proctor also presented, and he kind of just brought up some of the housing bills that are being brought forth, and one of them I remember was the ADU. So, we're not sure if some of these bills were passed or not, but just kind of watch, I guess, that. And then also economic directors from both DeForest and Middleton kind of talked about the great changes that are happening because they updated their comprehensive plan. So making those changes to the zoning is definitely, they're seeing the impact in housing. So, and then also Sun Prairie, they had their tenant resources and their food pantry, all of the resources that they're providing, and they kind of just gave an update on how they're really impacting the community. And it was really awesome to see all of the things that they're doing. Just one, education to even the young high schoolers, just teaching them about rent and, how to manage that. And it's really great things that they're doing out there. And then also they did some Hometown Hero Awards, and 3 people received those awards. And we had ice cream, which is great. So it was a really great event. I think it was supposed to be 2 hours. It went on to 3 because it was just so exciting. So great event, and I think that's about it.
You want to
Thank you.
continue on with the housing plan update as far as
Absolutely.
that process and going forward?
Sure. So redevelopment resources. So right now, I'm still kind of working on that stakeholder list, and Mark gave me some great feedback about how extensive it is. So we're going to look at that, and I actually have a call with them today, and we're going to just kind of look at that stakeholder list. But as you can imagine, people are emailing me often to add that name to it. So really what it is the stakeholders are will receive a survey emailed them, and then we'll kind of look at those results as well. But we're planning also focus groups that we're right now just kind of figuring out kind of the schedule and which events to do, and also those focus groups. So I'll definitely keep you updated. Yeah. And then also, oh, sorry, one other thing unrelated to that. I did attend the Boys and Girls Club White Party. That was last Saturday. It was a great event. They raised over $500,000. So awesome. And then there were some celebrities there. Danny Glover, the actor, which I got to take a picture with. It was really awesome just to be in his presence. Another actor, Darian Wilson, and then the NBA legend Allen Iverson was there as well. So great event and a great opportunity to network.
The tour, housing tour.
Oh, thank you. Housing tour, so much going on. The upcoming housing tour is on July 1st, so you'll receive kind of the schedule today. And we're going to actually add another housing tour for one of our Hartung townhomes, actually the apartments that they have there. So we're planning to start a little at 9, but if we could be there at 8:45 just to kind of gather. So the first one will be at the Lacey Ridge townhomes. But again, I'll give you that whole itinerary. And then after all of those, then if you're able to come to the VFW for lunch.
That's next week, isn't it?
Yes, next week, Tuesday.
And we're adding to the list Corey Frank, who's doing the Hartung Fields townhomes, also has an apartment building under construction in Uptown, just south of Central Park Place. So as long as it's in close proximity and it's kind of on the way to the VFW, we thought might as well stop in there and check out that one too. So it's good to see the new housing stock that's coming online.
Sorry. Go ahead, Mike, Joyce. Okay. Anything else to report for us today?
Want to talk about city emotion?
I haven't really been doing much in our department, so we have been extremely busy. Last week, Thursday, we had a prospect in town for about 2.5 hours. We did a city tour, which was really amazing. We attended the Learning Experience Daycare, which is opening yesterday. So if you haven't been there, it's a really, really cool place. Go check it out. Mike and I attended the Quibby's Grove 45th anniversary, which was very touching, because they had invited all of their employees from the past 45 years, and some of them are still there, started with them on day one, like their chef has been there for 40 years, and Mayor Julia Parada was there as well. Today we're meeting with Vanderwall to start talking about the update to the City in Motion document. So we will keep you posted on the status of that. I'm trying to think what else we've been up to.
And the City in Motion, that's our Forward Fitchburg City in Motion Economic Development Strategic Plan. That's due for an update and a refresh. So we're going to be working with Vanderwall again. We're meeting with them today to talk about kind of the scope and those elements to include in that process. And then we would look to launch that sometime in September of this year. And then that'll probably go through the end of the first quarter of 2020. 6 as well.
Mike, just to raise a point, there's a lot on your folks' plate.
Yep.
Is that the right time to start that, or should you push it back a few months? I'm just looking at what's going on in the city,
yep.
What's going on in your guys' agendas and this group's agenda. I mean, I don't want to overburden the department, to be honest. So I'm kind of raising a caution flag.
We're concerned about
We've been directed to proceed with this timeline. So we're following that.
Okay, thank
that
you.
Lead. Yeah.
Right. You can add anything.
I forgot to mention at the meeting, Sonia from Vanderwall also presented, and she also shared about best practices for zoning. So I have some slides if anyone is interested, but I thought it was really fascinating.
Would you go ahead and send them out? Can she go ahead and send them out to the group?
Yep.
Yeah, just send them out.
Okay,
Thank you.
absolutely.
And one thing that'll be part of the City in Motion process is we're hoping to incorporate a developer roundtable to kind of get feedback from the development community that we're working with on what are we doing well, where maybe there's some systems or processes, improvements, although we've done multiple improvements. And again, according to Smart Growth Greater Madison evaluation that they did last year, Fitchburg is the most efficient community as far as moving projects through the pipeline there. But we just want to hear from that constituency and audience, and then maybe out of that group too, there's additional suggestions on kind of zoning ordinance updates, because our zoning ordinance really needs that update. It's still really from our incorporation days. So we've got not only on the business and industrial side, some recommendations, also some ideas and recommendations on the housing side, just to update, modernize, refresh, and kind of incorporate some current best practices.
So timing on that, I'm just wondering about like all the work that Redevelopment Resources is doing for us. That is there going to be some redundancies or some overlap or something premature, maybe? Kind of seeing what comes out of redevelopment, or how is that going to connect to what you're talking about?
Well, they'll be done with their process before we finalize ours.
Who will?
The housing plan.
Okay.
The housing plan will be done, and I think some of our strategic objectives could be incorporated into the comp plan, and also zoning and signage ordinance. That's going to be, I guess that's another thing. We met with all the hotels, and it was Mike, Angela, and I, just to do a kind of an overview of how business is going. We did hear that business is down, so that's a little bit of a concern, but hopefully things will be coming back, and it's mostly the corporate travel.
And that's not unique just to Fitchburg. They're hearing Destination Madison, kind of the region, is down primarily because of that corporate travel and everything. But those meetings have been helpful to really get some good insight. The new 100-room Spring Hill Suites is on track to open around October. So that'll bring us some additional inventory. It was great to meet the owners of the recently acquired Mainstay Suites, and then also the Wyndham. The Wyndham is doing significant investments in the property. They've already changed out all the mattresses. They're upgrading the TVs per the Wyndham standards from 43 inches to 50 inches there. They've replaced all the common area carpets. They are doing the entire landscaping on the outside. They brought us the new restaurant, Zafferino Ristorante. They've replaced all the lighting in the parking lot. They will be coming forward to the Plan Commission to paint the exterior of the building. And then as we get to the winter season, then they'll focus on the rooms with carpet and paint and everything. So it's a really good update and a refresh for that property. So we were pleased to meet the new owner and to get that update from them. And then part of the reason why we were out and wanting to chat with them is in anticipation of the 2026 budget and possibly looking at increasing our hotel room tax rate from 7% to 8%. So as the budget starts to come forward, you may see that we have to incorporate that per our budgets into the fee schedule in our 2026 budget there. And we've been in consultation with Angela on that as far as how does that align with our peer communities and everything there. Most of them are up to 8% already. Madison is 10 plus there. The one that is still at 7 like we are is Verona at this point in time. But Angela's got some good information and data as we hopefully bring that forward for in 2026.
Okay. Anything else from staff?
I would just mention that we're continuing to move development projects forward, not only Jamestown Quarry on the west side across from Super Target, UW Health and the Rehab Hospital on the east side. And then we've been having various meetings for the redevelopment of Bowman Plaza. And so I think we've come to agreement on the terms for a TIF request for that property. So hopefully that will come forward to the council with a referral at the meeting on July 22nd, and then council consideration at the first meeting in August. And then what will happen hopefully at that property is police and fire may use it for a little training yet this year. And then the building would be demolished in 2026, early in 2026, and then would start construction. And it's really a 2-year construction cycle there, just because you're talking 270 apartments as well as 9,500 square feet of commercial space. So anticipated occupancy would be April 1st of, well, there would be 2 phases of residential occupancy starting January 1st of 2028, and then the second phase of residential would be kind of April 1st of 2028 is kind of the schedule. But that's really going to be, again, one of those catalytic projects on the west side of Fish Hatchery Road. We've had some good buildings on the east side, but this will kind of set the standard on the west side, Fish Hatchery. Andy?
So when you mentioned the police potentially using the building, are you talking about like
training
tactical? Are we going to let the community know, since that's a pretty high visibility location?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
not
I'm sure
freak
they
people out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good suggestion and just good reminder. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then tonight there's Alder 2 district listening session, so I'm heading to that one with some of the elected officials, and Police Chief Al is going to be there. So that's at the City on a Hill Church. We also had a really good meeting with them this week, and they've got multiple phase expansion in mind. So they're working with our city planner, Deanna, to bring forward the first phase that would be an extension of their church, kind of with a gathering area that would bump out east to Fish Hatchery Road, so give a higher presence and a profile. And then they've got even larger expansion plans. Their congregation has really been growing significantly, including they now have a Spanish language service and everything up there. And they're doing a lot of great things in the neighborhood and in the community for our residents in that area. So nice to see that too.
Do we have any updates on big box grocery coming to Fitchburg, additional grocery stores?
We continue to do outreach, on that, especially on the big question we always get is on the east side, there. And in the uptown area in particular, that's smart code zoning. So it would need to be in an urban format, kind of a multi-story mixed use. The example we always point to is the Festival Foods on East Washington, where it's incorporated into a multi-story mixed use building. We would need to be a partner in that kind of development to help incorporate the structured and underground parking that maybe would be associated with that kind of development. But we've had conversations with at least 2, if not 3, developers that have done those types of projects and are experienced in those kind of projects. And then Joyce has been running reports utilizing that Buxton software on kind of the grocery market and needs. We've been sharing that information. So there's at least conversations. I don't want to give any false hope that there's anything imminent, but we're at least having conversations and getting audiences, with people to try and bring that together. We also are trying to generate a grocery project, let's say in the Southdale neighborhood, which is another food desert area. And we've had a couple of Hispanic grocers that have expressed interest that we've been at least introducing to some developers in that area to potentially look at mixed use opportunity, up there. So we'll keep you posted as we make progress, but we keep that front and center as we're having conversations with developers and people.
Lots going on. Other comments or feedback for our staff?
The last thing I'll just
you got one more.
Circle back on is that Gorman proposal.
Okay.
It was
that came last night, didn't it?
Well, I sent it to you this morning.
This morning, yeah, I haven't seen
It was in the council packet on Tuesday night, so if you want to take a look at that. And basically, the resolution authorized or directed staff to continue to work with Gary Gorman and his team at Gorman and Company now to possibly identify a site for single-family homeownership development. And then you can see kind of the terms of the proposal with the links that I sent you and everything there. But he would be looking for us to be a partner when we land on a site with a tax increment district. And we would be looking to provide TIF assistance through that, as well as underwriting the fees associated with the development. And then he would forego his developer fee as part of that collaboration. And then what will happen is if we identify a site and he does his due diligence with engineering, technical, and we've got a project, proposed project, then that would wind its way through from the council to housing advisory to plan commission, CETA, finance, as well as a Eller's pro forma analysis to see if we want to move forward with a project collectively with him. So read through that, and we will keep you posted. As like I said, this was just on Tuesday night where the council directed us, yes, please proceed with continued conversations and collaboration, and we'll see where we go from here.
We do have a ribbon cutting too at the restaurant, Zaffarino
Ristorante.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. I think it's July 14th. Can you check your calendar quick?
Yes, like 4 o'clock.
Where is it?
Above.
Top of the Wyndham.
Yeah.
Conference Center.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
And also, we have been working on the business lunch since April, and just found out last week that our speaker wasn't going to be available, so we have to pivot. But I have dates reserved at the BTC, so stay tuned.
Okay, anything else from staff? A very full plate, all good things for our city. Moving on, are there any announcements from the group? Andy?
Just had one. I believe it's tonight, the Governor's Outdoor Industry Awards are happening, and the City of Fitchburg, the Fitchburg Chamber, and Bike Fitchburg are up for I'll get the exact name here, a tandem award for collaboration for their promotion of bike tourism in the city. So I guess we'll find out tonight if we won.
Okay.
And do you guys want to just highlight did you participate in the draft picks, the bike ride?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask Andy, he was in charge.
Okay. Do you want to just give an update on that? That I think was a cool event and good participation.
Yeah, I'm trying to think the exact number of people. I want to say it was around 75 people participated in that, which I think we're very happy with that being the inaugural year. So the ride started at Hop House, rode up to the Great Dane, over to Delta Beer Lab, and then back to Hop House. Just kind of a slow roll ride. Seemed like everyone had a good time. The businesses were happy. But only a couple of minor hitches that we had. So yeah, I think a good event, and hopefully do it again next year.
Okay, anything else? Our next meeting is Thursday, July 24th, 2025. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, Jen.
I'll motion.
I'll second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thanks, everybody.